on the inside, of course. It is Monday, June 21. Good morning again. If you're just tuning in or you were apart from the very start, of course, I appreciate you as always. Nevertheless, I know Monday and we have a whole lot of information to disseminate, and I hope you guys will be here for it because it's something that concerns us all. Alrighty, and of course, like I gave you a hint a while ago, we will be speaking with Lisa Douglas from the National Insurance Scheme, and we got quite a bit of information for you. So come on into the room, guys, and as soon as you do, you can probably hit the share button and of course let other folks be a part of the conversation. Like I said, it concerns us all. Alright, so I hope you're here for it. Nevertheless, it is so good to have you back in studio with us this morning, Lisa. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. How are you this morning?
I am good as well.
And good morning to all your listeners and your followers on Facebook.
Thank you so much. Well, like I said, we have a lot of information to disseminate. And of course, we had a couple programs on COVID. And then, of course, when folks were wondering what to do in terms of, benefits, persons probably lost jobs and, a lot of stuff read its head and realized that, hey, your contributions aren't being paid, you're not set, you're not, so we had a lot of information along those lines. So today we want to do a follow-up of sorts on that and of course other things that the NIS will be implementing, right? So let's talk compliance. Some folks say when they hear that word, they get scared. What does that mean? The employer's responsibility when it comes towards their employee, regardless of what business you have. What does that mean?
Now, being NIS compliant is very, very easy. And today I'd like to highlight 4 steps that any employer can take to be NIS compliant. 1, you are required to register. And I must clarify, when we're talking about employers, we're not talking about just large established businesses. Anybody who has someone working with them and they're paying that person a salary for the work they're doing, whether it's a part-time employee, full-time, temporary, daily paid, you're making panqua as we call it. Once you're paying that person for the work that they're doing, you are an employer. You are required to register with the NIS. You are required before paying the employee to deduct the NIS contributions from their salary. You are also required to ensure that the employee is registered with the NIS. And at the end of every month, the employer has to submit the payment information, the employee's salary information, along with the payment, the contribution payment to the NIS. Those 4 things makes you NIS compliant, and I must point out that when we're talking about compliance, is not something that is, so far-reaching that you can't attain it. It's very easy. You register, deduct the NIS contributions, make sure your employees get registered, make your payments, submit the information, and hello, you're compliant.
And there are no exceptions.
No exceptions, because we have to remember, any employee where you work and NIS contributions are not paid for you, it means it equals to no benefit. We cannot have persons working and at the end of the day, they get sick or they get injured on the job or they reach the retirement age and they have no benefit to get. We cannot allow that to happen in our society. We can't allow somebody to retire and they have no monthly pension. What will happen to their livelihood? What would happen to their health? What would happen to that person being able to pay their bills? So it means employers have to take their role much more seriously and comply with the NIS laws by following those 4 steps.
What about the self-employed?
Self-employed persons too, of course, you're both the employer and the employee. It's also mandatory for those persons to register and contribute because they are entitled to all the benefits offered by the NIS, including employment entry, including your pension when you reach the retirement age. the same contribution rate that are contributed on behalf of employees, self-employed persons contribute that same rate. So whether you're fishing, and we know this month we'll be celebrating Fisherman's Birthday very soon. So a big up to all our fisher folk, our fish vendors, our fishermen, all of you. And our satellite office will be coming to the fish market very soon, next Monday. And also we'll be on the lands in Guave on Friday. Yes, we want the self-employed persons to come out. So come out to the office.
They're not coming to you, you're going to go to them.
Yes, we're going to you. So come, get registered. I know the first thing self-employed persons normally say, well, I don't know how much to pay. No worries. We would walk you through the process. We will help you to figure out. We would give you all the information you need. But come, get registered, contribute so you can benefit.
Fantastic. Now, NIS has decided to take some very drastic measures to ensure that, folks comply. So starting August, what would be happening with
August
employers?
1st, yes. Employers who are non-compliant. So now we've established who is a compliant employer. So employers who are non-compliant, consistently, we would start publishing their names in our local newspapers and on the NIS social media platforms.
Oh, wow.
Yes. We cannot afford for persons to continue to lose benefits. Anytime somebody loses a benefit, that's a person's life and their livelihood and their family you are affecting. So employers have to realize that you cannot put people's livelihood in jeopardy like that. They are serving you. They're helping you grow your business and grow your empire.
You have to protect them.
Exactly. So it's the least you could do as an employer.
And as I said, it really came sharply into focus during the COVID, when the pandemic just hit. And, folks were home and no idea when they'll be going back to work, especially folks in the hotel industry, etc. And they realize, okay, let me go see what NIS have in store. When you get their check, there's no contribution.
Yes.
But the contributions are being deducted monthly, but it's not being paid. How have you been tackling that particular issue?
Now that takes us to the topic of our compliance officers. They are the NIS police. They are the ones who would go out and do visits, look around the country, drive around the country to see if business is taking place. I must mention, though, there are some times when it's difficult to figure out whether or not somebody's an employer. So let's suppose I have a maid in my house. Even though the compliance officers are driving around, they wouldn't know I have somebody in my private house. It would be easier to see a construction project taking place or a shop or whatever other type of business taking place. So our compliance officers, they do visits to workplaces. They also do audits. So even though you're compliant, the NIS still ensures that you are fully compliant, because it may be a case where you have 10 employees, but you've decided you would only contribute for 8. So when we do the audit, we might realize that, no, you have this person and they are although they're temporary, they're still an employee. Although they're daily paid, they're coming to you once a week. They're still an employee. So you have to contribute for that person also. And I'd like to highlight that the National Insurance Regulations makes it legal for the compliance, for the compliance officers to carry out certain processes. So for example, the compliance officers, they have the legal right to enter any premises at reasonable hours where they think employment is taking place, where they think persons are employed. They also have the legal right to request any document that they think could give them information as to whether or not NIS contributions are payable. They also have the legal right to examine those documents and question any other person, whether it's the employer and any other person on the premises, to determine whether or not the employer is compliant. They also have the right to summon anybody to the office of the NIS to do further investigations. So we're encouraging employers to keep proper records, whether your business is small, micro, mini, medium sized, large, keep proper records, because you have a legal obligation to be able to produce information to the compliance officers when they make a visit to you.
Now, in light of that, according to the laws, are there any laws in place that makes it mandatory for you to pay NIS contributions, or is it just a case that you require it, but not mandated?
It's mandated both for employers, employees, self-employed persons. So the law, the national insurance regulations, it mandates employers to register their employees, deduct the contributions, and pay. It also mandates employees to register, and it lets them know that the employer is obligated to deduct the contributions. Because I'm glad you mentioned that. Some employees, especially in the construction sector, it happens in other sectors too, especially where the employment is sort of temporary. The employee would agree with the employer, listen, I don't want any NIS to come from my salary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so sometimes employers use that as an excuse. Well, the man say don't take, right,
NIS.
but you cannot decide to break the law because somebody tell you to do it. Yeah, you have a legal obligation before paying the person to deduct the NIS contributions, because you are the employer and you have to make sure you remit those payments to the NIS.
Someone here is asking, is there a way that employees can check that contributions deducted or being remitted?
Yes.
They said there was an option a few years ago to log on to some portal and do so. Is it still available?
The portal where they can do so electronically, meaning from their devices, it's not up and running yet. We are in the process of designing it. But in the meantime, employees can simply send us an email, call, WhatsApp, but contact us and we would email your contribution statement to you. Or you can just walk in and request it.
All right. Speaking about the contribution statement, break that down for us. What is it exactly? What does it show?
It's a very detailed document. It shows for each year you work, every month. It shows the employer with whom you work, the month, the number of months in the year you work, what your salary was, the number of weeks in that month that you work, how much was deducted from your salary, how much the employer contributed on your behalf, and the total number of contribution weeks you have. So it's very easy. For each year, employees are able to see and determine whether or not their contribution payments were made and if the correct salary was submitted on their behalf.
But again, employees also have the responsibility to make sure that, your contributions are up to date and not just leave it to, okay, my employer said he's making payments.
Most
but once in a
definitely.
while, do checks, because
Yes,
you see it deducted. You get your pay slip and you see NIS deducted.
Yes.
So, and of course, you see the difference in your salary. So the onus is also on employees to do, periodical checks, make sure that is being done.
And
not
we
get caught off
encourage
guard.
it. In fact, some employees would receive their full salary and later on, come in to check. You should know if you're receiving your full salary that NIS is not being deducted. So if it's not being deducted at all, you should also let us know. I know we want all the money that we can get right now, but we also have to think about the what if. People who work in jobs that are temporary have a tendency to think about no, and I understand that. But we also have to think about what if on that construction project, yes, it's 3 months and I want all my money, but what if I get injured? What happens? I have my medical expenses. What if I get sick? What if I pass away? What happens to my children, my spouse? What happens when I retire? So we have to think about what if.
Long term,
Yes.
not just the short term benefits. And for persons wanting to do that, how can they contact the NIS?
440-3309. You can call us or you can send us an email if you're desirous of your contribution statement, customer service at nisgrenada.org. Or you can call customers, you can message customer service on WhatsApp 458-6060.
Now, you mentioned, of course, the what ifs. Someone gets sick, whatever the case might be. How do you go about making that claim for sickness or whatever benefits that you stand to gain from?
Currently, we have claim forms that persons would fill out and submit to us. But coming soon, we have a new portal that we are designing. It's a paperless benefit claim submission process that we are now designing. So just now, when you have to submit a benefit claim, you would not have to fill out any paper forms.
Okay. So definitely making it effective and less time consuming.
Yes.
Alrighty. Now, of course, the NIS is there's also mortgage and other loan options available with the NIS. What does the NIS loan program offer?
We do offer mortgages. So if you're desirous of buying a piece of land or purchasing a house, or you want to construct your dream home, we do offer loans for those purposes. We refinance, we consolidate, and all of that. If you also want a consumer loan, whether you want to buy a vehicle, you want to study, you want to further your education, or you want to learn a new skill, we do loans for that also. You want to purchase equipment, furniture, you have some medical expenses that you need a loan for, you want to travel, we also do consumer loans.
Okay. So what's the process like in applying for NIS loan?
One of the things that we encourage customers and potential customers to do is to contact us. One of the first things that we want to walk through with you is how much you are eligible for. So we would do an assessment, your income, your expenses, etc. We would do an assessment and let you know this is the amount you can qualify for, and then you would be able to make a wise decision in terms of how you proceed. So contact us. We have our mortgage department. You can email us mortgage@nisgrenada.org or simply call, same numbers, 440-3309, and speak to any one of our mortgage representatives, and they would walk you through the process. We have a very low competitive rates, so we encourage you to contact us so you can qualify, you can determine whether or not you can qualify for an NIS loan.
What is the process, the time process like? Someone here is saying it takes a bit, it takes too long. What will determine the time you get your process?
The process is a very short one. We always have to remember things would only take a long time when all the documents that you need are not available or requiring some information. Exactly. But our approval process is very quick, it's very short. So call us today, let's walk through it, and you may be very surprised at how quick and easy it is to qualify and our turnaround process. And we have very competent people in our mortgage department. So call us today and we would walk you through the process.
Someone here is asking, see if we can answer a couple before we go. Someone says, what do you the employer, when the employer says you are responsible for all your deductions? So basically they give you a salary and tell you, well, you're responsible for it. Someone says, how do you deal with something like that?
An employer does not have any right to say to an employee, you are responsible for your deductions. The national insurance laws holds the employer responsible. So if an employee is in that situation, of course they should contact us, and you can do so anonymously. So you don't have to call and say, Lisa Douglas working with NIS, because I know some employees would be afraid maybe the employer might fire them. So you can just anonymously let us know, we need to check out this employer, and we would do the necessary checks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone says, if you hold on. Can you give the rates if you have the rates available?
The contribution rate. Okay, good. So employees, 5% should be deducted from your salary. The employer contributes 6% on your behalf. Remember, the only time an employer could say to somebody you are responsible is if the person is a subcontractor. So let's suppose I have a construction project and I subcontract you because you have a tile company, I subcontract you to do my tiling, then you are responsible for your NIS because I'm hiring you as an independent contractor. But once you are my employee, then I am responsible for making your deductions and paying it at the end of the month.
Okay. They're also asking about the interest rates for the loans and what have you.
Our interest rates are extremely low. We want you to call us. The reason why is because everybody would not qualify for the same interest rates because it depends on your level of risk. Yeah? So that's why I'm encouraging persons, call us. We want to give you personal information because my income and my expenses would be different from yours. So what I would qualify for and my interest rate may be different to yours, based
so it's
on
not just one across the board.
Based on your risk level, right? So we want you to contact us and give us your information so we could give you more specifics. We could give you information that applies specifically to you so you could make a more informed decision.
Understand. Anyways, we are at the end of our conversation this morning. Anything else, Lisa, that we didn't touch you want to highlight before we go? Or maybe we can just touch again under compliance.
Yes, we're really encouraging all employees. Now, I spoke about employers. It's your responsibility to check your contribution status. It's your responsibility to make sure that your employer is paying for you by checking with us. Now, once you check with us and we realize or you highlight to us that your NIS contributions were not paid, we take it from there. So your job finishes at the point of you letting us know your employer is not compliant. And our job starts by contacting the employer, writing letters, and it goes right up to taking legal action against the employer. We have some employers who have been chronically non-compliant. We have numerous judgments against them. Hence the reason we've decided we have to take further action in terms of publishing their names in the newspapers so persons are aware, and it would motivate them also to get compliant. Because we cannot afford for any employee to ever be home, whether sick, whether on maternity leave, employment injury, or whether you retire or if you pass away, and they cannot get a benefit. It's just not right.
Totally
it is
agree.
absolutely not right. So we're encouraging employees to check. We're encouraging employers, if you're non-compliant, we work with you. So it's not a case you owe the NIS $100,000. It's not a case where we're saying tomorrow bring it in. We would work with you. We would come up with agreements. We would work with you for you to become compliant. But contact us before August 1st. So now you have a good time. You have a very good time.
Take your name off the list.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you'll be starring. Thank you so very much, Lisa. Lots of information disseminated. And of course, what's the contact number again before?
440-3309. Call us. Employers, if you need a compliance certificate, you want to make sure you're NIS compliant, you can simply go on to the NIS website. We have a tab on our website called Online Services, and there is a tab there where you can apply for a compliance certificate. So right now you want to make sure you're on the up and up, you're doing right by your employees, and you do not have any arrears, any outstanding remittances or payment. Request a compliance certificate. If anything is outstanding, we notify you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much again, Lisa. Appreciate you coming through this morning and bringing us up to date on what's happening. And of course, we look forward to another conversation again. Thanks so much.
You're most welcome. Have a good day, all.
Have a good one too. Alrighty then, and that takes care of our conversation this morning. Thanks so much to everyone who tuned in. And the next live will be at 11 o'clock when we jump inside the ladies' room. All right, catch you then.